Alright, UFC Nashville is this weekend, and man, this main event, although it got switched around, I like this main event. Two top UFC bantamweight contenders, Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font. Now, if you guys will recall, originally the main event was supposed to be Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov, which, if you guys remember, Umar didn't really deserve to fight Cory Sandhagen, if we're being honest. I mean, the last guy he fought was Juliano Barcelos, who he did have a very impressive knockout over, and I was super impressed. I have stated before, Umar is definitely one of my favorites amongst the Nurmagomedovs, I guess you could say. Definitely my favorite one out of them, and he's a really good striker, a good grappler, but I didn't think he was ready for that matchup, right? So I'm glad that the matchup didn't wind up going through. I think he should fight someone like a Song Yadong next, or someone in between him and Cory Sandhagen, right? But yeah, Rob Font, I mean, luckily this isn't such a short notice fight. He was supposed to fight Song Yadong on the UFC 292 card. Song Yadong had to pull out, and we didn't even know that, but then the UFC knew that and said, hey, let's just make Rob Font versus Cory Sandhagen, and that was the next fight to make. Because I'm going to be honest, when I first heard of this matchup, my immediate pick was Cory Sandhagen, but I gotta say, a lot of things have changed my mind back and forth, and I do have a final prediction which I'm going to give, but this fight is a lot closer than it seems. But I want to say, first of all, you know, just hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, guys. You guys help me out tremendously. I love the nice comments you guys leave. It really encourages me to keep doing this. So just hit the subscribe button to show some support, trying to hit 20K by the end of the year. But yeah, let's talk about UFC Nashville's main event between Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font. Now, both guys are in a pretty good position. Cory Sandhagen's in a better one with wins over Song Yadong and Marlon Vera. I mean, he's really putting up a win streak, and I think this is his time. I think this is the prime Cory Sandhagen. Like, now he's got the wrestling down, he's got the jiu-jitsu down, he's got the striking down. Everything just seems to be flowing together for him, and with these performances, he's dominating these guys. And although with Song Yadong, I thought that he was losing the beginning of the fight up until, you know, Song Yadong's eye completely shut due to that cut. Nonetheless, you know, what he did to Marlon Vera was extremely impressive, and the way that he's just now added takedowns to his game, and he's just a cardio machine, has so many weapons up his sleeve. The guy is one of the best mixed martial artists on the roster if we're talking about pure mixed martial arts, because the guy's got the kickboxing, the guy's got the jiu-jitsu, the guy's got the wrestling. He's as well-rounded as you could possibly get. While Rob Font is also pretty well-rounded, underratedly well-rounded, honestly, because the guy does mix in takedowns, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. He has the really nice boxing. I would say the kicking game is probably his weakest, where Cory Sandhagen is a really good kicker, but nonetheless, he's also well-rounded and a really good fighter, and he's coming off the win against Adrian Yanez. I think a lot of us wrote him off into that fight, and I think I even made a prediction saying that I thought Adrian Yanez was going to win, and yeah, I just thought Rob Font had experienced a lot of damage. I mean, he took a lot of damage against Marlon Vera and Jose Aldo. Took the year off, kind of similar to how Calvin Kattar, his teammate, took off after that Max Holloway performance, took a year off, kind of rebuilt his skills, and came back to fight Giga Chikadze and absolutely dominated him, and also fought Josh Emmett to a razor-close decision. Arguably, he should have won that fight. So yeah, he kind of took the same page out of his book, took a year off after that Marlon Vera fight, and returned at UFC 287, and he knocked out Adrian Yanez in the first round, and he was, you know, a high prospect. A lot of people were saying he was going to beat O'Malley. Remember, there were talks back then that the UFC was hiding Sean O'Malley from Adrian Yanez, which now it's a little bit funny in hindsight. Not saying that that could be a competitive matchup in the future, but after what Rob Font did to him, I don't think anybody's going to be saying that. So there's a lot of steam behind Rob Font, this kind of conception that he's came back. Now, will he come back? Can he make it to the top of the bantamweight division? Did he take this long-awaited break? I'm not so sure. I mean, the age is a little bit of a concern for me. He's 35 years old. That's definitely when you start to kind of fall down. That is kind of when you start to fall in terms of performance, and that's where, you know, your reflexes slow down, you know, your explosiveness is less. Really, the only thing you're going to always have until you're very old is your power, right? That's always going to be the last thing to go, and that is definitely my biggest concern of Rob Font, but I'm going to try to ignore that. I think sometimes I read too much into it. I think if you guys watch my breakdown, I do kind of put a lot of stock in damage and age, which I do think is important and something that a lot of people should talk about, but sometimes it just doesn't always make sense. You can't really predict these things, so I'm going to try my best to predict it as a normal Rob Font, but those are all things that we do have to take into consideration, right? Cory Sandhagen is the opposite. I mean, he's young. This is him entering his prime. I feel like this is his era, and I do think he's eventually going to become a UFC champion. He's definitely one of my favorite fighters in terms of just pure fighting, right? I mean, I think he's a nice guy, a nice personality, but watching him fight, I mean, he's so impressive out there, and it's always entertaining. I find even if you show him to non-MMA fans, they're always entertained. Like, damn, like, he is doing all the spinning kicks, taking down people, giving so much damage out. I love Cory Sandhagen, and I think, you know, you guys could probably tell that because I've talked about him a lot on the channel, but he's definitely one of the better fighters, and I can't sing his praises enough. But I want to get into the matchup because although I think Cory Sandhagen is an extremely talented, don't get me wrong, because I do think that Rob Font is a dangerous matchup for him. What does Rob Font need to do to win this fight? I think Rob Font should definitely pressure Cory Sandhagen. You know, there's this expression, you know, that you should crowd the kicker, and that's what he needs to do, kind of push him against the fence so there isn't as much room for him to kick, and there isn't as much time for him to think, oh, hey, I want to throw this spinning attack, or I want to shoot for this takedown. Have him react to you. That is how he's going to win, because Cory Sandhagen on his own, if you're just out in the open with him and he's doing his own thing, that is a difficult matchup matchup for anybody in the world, because Cory Sandhagen will throw so much at you and have you confused, like, what am I supposed to do? And you're too busy reacting instead of fighting. That's what Cory Sandhagen is really good at. So I think Rob Font should really be very jab heavy going into the matchup immediately as the bell starts. Push Cory Sandhagen backwards, make him uncomfortable, and I think you should mix in the takedowns, okay? Now, this is something that I think will happen. I think Rob Font is going to mix in the takedowns regardless, and I think a lot of people might be like, huh, mix in the takedowns, but if you watch a lot of his fights, he does mix in takedowns. I mean, he mixed them in against Jose Aldo. Actually got him down on the ground in the first minute of their fight. So the guy has a wrestling background, a wrestling ability, and I'm not saying that I think he's going to be able to take down Cory Sandhagen, because I don't. I think that Cory Sandhagen has really good takedown defense unless he catches him off guard, which is always possible. I mean, there's 25 minutes in there, you know? However, just, you know, adding that to the equation of the fight just creates a lot of stress. I generally think trying to go for like a takedown attempt or something could significantly change the fight. Like you see Alex Pereira last weekend. He froze completely against Jan Blachowicz because of the takedown threat, and he wasn't being as open as he normally is. Like, you look at the fight with Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira, and then you look at the fight with Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. Night and day, right? And I don't think it was because of altitude. I just think it was because of the pure takedown threat from Jan Blachowicz. And I think it could be the same thing here, and that's what he has to do. And for Cory Sandhagen, he has to be out in the open. Use really good footwork so you don't get behind the cage, right? Circle out. Be aware of your surroundings. And I think for him, he should also mix in the grappling. I think it's good for both guys to mix in some grappling. Whoever wins this fight is going to win it by giving their opponent the most problems. I think whoever gives the opponent the most problems is going to win in this matchup. So my prediction is Cory Sandhagen, because there's nobody better at making you guess than Cory Sandhagen. I mean, he just does so many things. He has so much martial arts skill. He learns everything. He wants to add to his jiu-jitsu game after getting submitted by Aljamain. He calls Ryan Hall. He wants to add more wrestling after the Piotr Jan loss, so he gets a wrestling coach. You know, the guy is always picking up new facets of mixed martial arts, trying to find new weapons to use against his opponents to help confuse them. And I think he has really good footwork. He has the height advantage. He has the reach advantage. Another thing is that Rob Font also had to cut this training camp short. He was supposed to fight Song Yadong 2 weeks later, and yes, this is a catch weight, which is why I think I'm going to pick Cory Sandhagen by decision. I'm probably going to pick 48-47. I think Rob Font's going to be able to steal 2 rounds. I think maybe one's going to be a clear Rob Font round, and maybe one's going to be kind of Rob Font. I think Rob Font's going to win the first round, and maybe he'll steal another one, maybe the second or third. And yeah, I think it'll be reasonably competitive, but I think as the fight goes on, I think we're going to see Cory Sandhagen do better and better, and I think the grappling will definitely start to wear on Rob Font. Another thing, like I said, I hate to drum on this, but the damage that he's taken, the age. I think Cory Sandhagen is going to just be a lot faster than him, and Rob Font is there to be hit. Even against Adrian Yanez, I mean, the fight lasted like 2 minutes, and he still had a swollen eye, right? So, and yes, Adrian Yanez does hit very hard. Cory Sandhagen is going to be throwing knees, elbows. I mean, we saw what he did with Frankie Edgar when Edgar was pressuring him. I mean, he just threw a big knee up the middle, knocked him out in 20 seconds. I think that he just has more weapons, and that's why I'm going to go with Cory Sandhagen. But I think it is a close matchup. I could honestly see Rob Font winning. I think a lot of people are going to be counting him out. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I'm sure they're in the favor of Cory Sandhagen. But people forgot, you know, Rob Font isn't no slouch, especially after this year break. He could be a completely new fighter. We saw what happened with Calvin Kattar, right? So yeah, I'm going to be going with Cory Sandhagen by decision, 48-47, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Thank you guys for watching. Comment your prediction. Tell me how, who, when, I don't know. So yeah, this week has been busy for mixed martial arts, but can't wait to watch the fights this weekend. And yeah, let me know what I should upload tomorrow, because I don't know what I'm going to upload tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next one.